the understanding here, unless I'm completely wrong, the Commission, has it taken a break for a week, or are they coming back tomorrow? And while you answer that question, quite a lot of detail, tedious, but important information nonetheless.
Thanks, Goli. Our understanding is that the commission continues tomorrow, but next week it'll take a week-long break to deal with some issues that they have to deal with, among which one would imagine is, of course, the departure, or imminent departure, perhaps I should say, for now, of the chief evidence leader, Advocate Terry Mutau. But they are going to be giving details, giving us details on that one. But coming back to what actually transpired today, day 2 of the testimony of the crime intelligence chief was also the head of the political killings task team, and that's Dumisani Khumalo, Lieutenant General. He did break down his presentation and testimony into 6 parts, essentially dealing with such issues as the political task team, what happened to it, or what someone wanted to happen to it. He also spoke about how the Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu, was actually accessed by people from the underworld and fixers who were, of course, helping underworld kingpins. He also spoke about links that these people had with some police chiefs and other operatives, how IPID was being used to undermine, I guess in certain instances, blackmail even the police chiefs who were doing their work, obviously threatening the interests of the underworld. He then spoke about how while many of us were having braais and lying at the beach, celebrating the new year, there were people who were very busy looking after their own interests, celebrating as well, because in essence they had just gotten information that indeed the political killings task team was about to be disbanded, and this political team was a threat underworld kingpins felt to the work that they were doing. So there was this celebration, certainly between one Kat Matlala and, of course, one Brian Mokotsi, who was the bringer of the good news to Kat Matlala. Take a listen to how Lieutenant General Khumalo put it in part.
At 22:38, same day, 1st of January 2025, the message reads, "The task team that came to your house and harassed you has been dissolved, stroke disbanded." Then on the 2nd of the following day now, of January, the first communication between the two is at 7:12 in the morning, where Dlamini is then responding to the message of the previous night with a message, "Oh, really?" followed by another message a minute after that, "I see you tried calling me last night." And then the next message at 7:14, another minute later, the question, "When is this happening?" Then the response is at 8:58 from Mr. Mokotsi responding to Mr. Matlala, indicated on the message, "They got the letter on Monday. As we speak, they are bringing all the dockets to Sibiya."
So not only was the political killings task team disbanded, but the now infamous dockets were actually given to one General Sibiya. Again, proof, certainly from where Lieutenant General Khumalo comes from, that these underworld kingpins and their figures actually had not only access to members or a member of the executive, but they also had access to sensitive information that only the police should have had access to, because from what was laid bare today, some of the information actually had personal details of police officers, which meant someone could glean from that information such things as home addresses, car registration details, and the like, which meant that these police officers' lives and the work that they were doing was actually compromised or could have been put in jeopardy. And he felt that, in fact, was wrong. Take a listen to what he said about what the conversations through those WhatsApp messages between Ket Matlala and Mokgotsi.
Just explain this, please, General. So are you saying Mr. Mokgotsi was in possession of classified information?
Yes, Commissioners. Mr. Mokgotsi was in possession of all this classified information that is forwarding to Mr. Matlala.
Thank you. And that also, as at the 2nd of January 2025, in the morning already at 10:05, he was already in possession of the minister's letter
To the
National Commissioner, the letter that disbanded.
That is correct, Commissioner.
The PKTT.
Eldred de Klerk and Professor, good afternoon to you. Thanks, both of you, for helping us make sense of it all. Maybe we'll start with you, Prof, since I've seen you, I've been part of this conversation for quite a while. Access to the minister, the Lieutenant General Khumalo trying to, I guess, put him on the scene of the crime.
Yes, that is indeed so. I think, well, since General Mkwanasi already presented his evidence, that became clear. But I think now it is very sort of tangible, direct evidence through these WhatsApps that's being presented. So it makes it, it will be exceptionally interesting to see how they are going to refute it as when they become here to the Commission and provide evidence, because what is being presented here today is almost, it's very difficult to challenge that, and it makes it so clear about what is the relationship between the minister, the Ket Matlala, Mokgotsi, and even some other police persons. So I think there's a sort of recurring theme that is coming through, but there's now more and more concrete evidence that is emerging to support that.
From those WhatsApp messages, a lot of people horrified that these underworld kingpins and their fixers actually had sensitive information of the police and their operations.
Absolutely, and it smacks to everything that we've heard is not only the internal divisions within the South African Police Service and in the judiciary, but also the turmoil and the choosing of sides that seems to be happening. The worrying thing about all this is not just the personal information, but the fact that we hear that there was attempts to try to go after people, to actually get them prosecuted, and those attempts were being thwarted. Now the Commission has now effectively become the court of law, because as the professor says, now those who stand accused must find an opportunity to depose what has been said about them and clear their own names. So now we're seeing in real time evidence being presented, evidence that normally in a court of law, if I'm to depose it, I would have copy and cite of that evidence before, so that I can prepare my legal defense. That's not happening. So this is just in terms of the course of justice. This is a worrying spectacle that's playing itself out here.
Of course, I mean, for Cat Matlala, this was about making a lot of money, whether it's from the police tender for over 360 million, or whether it's the Tembisa Hospital tender that he got. But for the politicians, it was about funding their political organizations. It's about carrying favor so that they don't lose an election in particular wards.
Yes, I think that's an additional very worrying factor. I mean, that there are so many politicians involved and maybe even political parties who might not have been even aware of it. For example, there was some money that exchanged between the two to attend the Progressive Business Forum of the ANC, you know, and bought a table there in order to attend it, where there's other ministers who will be the guests there, or will be able to, they can interact there. So it goes right through. It's not only about the political killings and the task team, it is about trying to influence, also not the Minister of Police actually, but they try to become closer and closer to different types of ministers. Now, I start to think about, you know, are we not talking about some form of state capture again? You know, it's not as extensive as during the Zuma years, but there's certainly very strong similarities between the two.
Very strong similarities to a whole host of other commissions that have come before this one, but also how these people who are in these positions that Cat Matlala is in attempt to not only protect their interests, even killing, you know, if they have to, but to try and influence the narrative out there. Attempts were being made on social media, but to use certain media outlets and, well, political commentators as well, to try and influence the narrative and brand, among other things, the political killings task team as a rogue unit of the SAPS.
Well, there seems to be a conversion after these testimonies of a particular line or a particular narrative and a particular story. As we said, that story has yet to be deposed. The commissioners have always been very careful, and today particularly so. They tried to ensure and kept coming back to the witness and said, can you say this for certainty? They're trying to distinguish between fact and speculation, because they're also aware, given their position and given their legal standing, that whatever is said here will be deposed. And if you cannot present this as if you're in a court of law, because effectively the commission also has the responsibility to make recommendations for prosecution based on the evidence that they hear from all sides. So the commissioners have been deliberate. The one thing that I missed, Vuyo and Prof, was, did the commission ask of Khumalo for the signal intercepts that they had? Did they have the right, or did they have the letters of authority from a designated judge to pursue that line of COVID intelligence? I heard nothing about...
And it's very important.
I never heard anything about that, because, you know, did they just do it? I hope they just did it by themselves, and we would assume that they didn't. I still would want that on the record, that the judges asked that, the commission asked, show us where your letter from a designated judge is. Show us that your signal, you've got that authorization to pursue the signal evidence, and then show us the chain of evidence in terms of where it's been kept. Because is that the same evidence that's been traveling around? We heard there was copies of things, and this will again, the prudence and the deliberate nature and the cautious nature in which the evidence leader has taken this inquiry speaks volumes of the kind of legal profession, legal experts we have, but also how they want to conduct this particular inquiry, mindful of, as we said earlier, that they are in a position to recommend for prosecution.
It's going to be very interesting indeed, and so will be, Prof, how a Senzo Mchunu, who, as we said right at the beginning, has now been put on the site of the crime by all these generals who have come before this commission, how he comes back from this one. Again, it must be emphasized, everything we're talking about is on the account of those who have already come before the commission, those people, among them Senzo Mchunu, who there are people who are yet to come forward and actually put their side of the story.
Yes, that is indeed so. And I think from the perspective of the public, we have, in a sense, only heard the one side of the story so far. You know, the witnesses who came are mainly from those who are in support of General Mkwanazi's statements that he made and supporting that to a large extent. We haven't heard yet, starting with the Minister, thereafter the General Sabia and some others also, and how they are going to challenge this or trying to refute it or maybe create a different narrative. So that is, I think, when the real interesting contestation between and of the information is going to emerge. So I think we have to be slightly careful that what we hear now, we must now not accept it as the absolute truth, but as part of a process that's being built up. But the second stage of the Commission's 3 stages still have to start, and that is when this evidence will be tested.
Let me thank both of you. Professor Kotze, Eldred de Klerk, thank you for your contributions today. And that is where we're going to leave it for today at Kolumgambi.